Sonali, lovely to see you. We are
Thank
meeting,
you.
I don't know, I think it's been a lifetime. Sarfarosh.
Oh my God. That's really a lifetime. Yeah.
So, I mean, you've been in the industry for what, 3 decades? We don't mention years here.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're making your debut again, you know, now on this space. So how does that feel?
Excited, nervous, a little bit scared, but I think excitement kind of takes over everything else. Yeah.
So now you've been in the news.
Yeah.
Now you are the one giving the news. So how does it feel to be on our side?
It was an eye-opener. Let me put it that way, because especially as a celebrity, there is a lot of times when there's a bit of a love-hate relationship. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, it is there. I mean, as I have friends who are journalists, there have been times when, you know, you've had people whom you wanted to, okay, let's put it mildly, you didn't like as much. That, I think, with these many years, without saying the numbers, as you said, with these many years being in the public eye, there is a bit of that, you know, tussle that goes on. So for me to go behind the camera in that sense, while being in front of the camera, but understanding, rather than behind the camera, I think for me to go behind the headline would be the right word. To go behind the headline and see what happens behind. And all the drama that goes on behind is, and I mean drama in the nicest possible way, because that's what life is about. And you know, it's the human drama. And that's where the stories come out from, and the human stories. And that's what Broken News is about. It just made me realize what happens behind that headline, which we just see the headline and we say, okay, done with the headline. And you know, the amount of stuff that happens, or for that matter, to get a byline. For a reporter, to just get a byline is such a struggle. And I mean, you kind of knew it, but when I did a show like this is when you realize what happens behind the scenes. It's not easy.
I'm sure they came to you with offers earlier. So, I mean, for you to actually say, yes, let me do this one and play Amina Qureshi. Yeah. What was that? What was that X factor?
So, first of all, when I kind of took that break from the fiction, I had just had a baby, and I, you know, in my parenting way, which I wanted to bring up the child, I was like, you know, 7 to 8 years, I'm going to, you know, it's the growth is, we all know 80% of the child's EQ, IQ grows in this first 7 to 8 years. And then, so I was like, you know, between 5 and 8 years is when I'm going to just do the parenting bit. I'm not really going to go into fiction, because fiction meant getting into characters, more than that, outdoors, odd timings. So that was not something I was open to doing, and it was not fair, because my priority was going to be the home and the child, and then everybody else kind of has to work around it, and sometimes it doesn't fall into place to that degree. So for me, the closest in my field, something like going to an office, was doing the reality shows that I was doing, because I was shooting in a particular place at particular time, and you know, you could balance it out very well. And that kind of satisfied see, once you're in front of the camera, you're used to being in front of the camera. So that kind of satisfied that part of me, and I was like, I'm okay, I'm not missing what I was doing. And I genuinely was not missing what I was doing. But over the years, Goldie, my husband, kept telling me that, you know, you should try working now. You're going to really enjoy what is happening now, and the kind of people that are there. And I know how you work, and you will really enjoy the process that goes on now. So I was like, yeah, okay. And, you know, I did try doing a TV series in between, because I love the subject, and you know, but what started off kind of started changing as the episodes progressed.
Yeah, true.
Can't blame them, but you know, the surveys showed that audience was not accepting the slightly radical storyline. They wanted a more conventional storyline. So then those changes started happening. So that was like, okay, I'm committed to it, and let me finish it. But that was not satisfying. And that kind of made me sit back a bit and say, I need to analyze this. What is it that I really want to do? Do I just want to come and look, I am an accidental actor.
You had said that too, yeah. It just happened by chance.
It's happened by chance. I needed the paycheck. So for me, that had always been the driving force in my choices, in the films that I did, and my career till that point. So here, when the same thing happened with this series, I was like, now I don't have that excuse. This is not the this is not the time. I mean, after a certain point of time, how much ever money you make, it's always going to be less, or there's always something more that you want. So this was not what I wanted. So it was time to kind of take a step back and analyze what was happening. And what I realized was what was coming to me was not what I felt like doing. And nothing wrong with what was coming to me, but I had grown. I was not the same person anymore. And I was done with that phase of my life, and I was not interested in doing what I had done again. I'd done enough of it, I had done many things. I had done films in all languages. Absolutely. I mean, at that point of time, I was the pan-India actor, as you would call it.
Absolutely.
And now that's the word that is used, but that's what it was. So I had done my share of work, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to kind of take that break. And then after the series, that stepping back and saying that what is it that, why is this not satisfying, and where am I, what do I really want? And when I realized what I want and what was coming to me is not matching. So I said, okay, let me figure this out. Let me see what needs to be done. Do I need to kind of write it myself? Is what I thought of. But after that, 2018 happened, and then, then COVID. And so the last 4 years kind of just went in that. And as I in the last 4 years also, the roles that kept coming, I said, there was a lot of clarity in 2018. When you've been so close to not having a tomorrow, life suddenly, there's a lot of clarity that comes into your life. True. I was like, I know what I want to do, and I want to be in front of the camera. I do want to do fiction, but I couldn't explain exactly what I wanted. So I said, you know what? I will just wait. So I was hearing everything that came my way, and there was a lot of things that were very tempting. They were great roles, and but that was not what I wanted to do, and I couldn't explain what I wanted to do. So I just kept waiting, and they came to me with the original of the series is Press, which is a BBC original. So that was sent to me, and they said, we're thinking of adapting this. But would you be interested? I saw that they said, just promise us that see the whole series before you make up your mind. I said, okay. BBC India had sent that to me, and I said, okay, when it started, and I saw it till the end, and I said, guys, it's interesting. It just depends on how you're going to adapt it, and so principally, I like the space it is in. I've not done something like this, and it's interesting, it's stimulating for me. It is exciting because I'm going to be doing something new, so you can dig into that research and all of that. So then I said, but final is when we see how it's adapted. They came back with the adaptation, they came back with the team. There was Jaideep on board, Shreya on board, Vinay Vaikul, our director, was on board, and the writing that had been done. And I said, they were very collaborative also about it. And it was then like, it was a yes, yeah.
Wow. So I mean, you were playing a news anchor here.
I play Amina Qureshi, the news editor-in-chief.
News editor.
Yeah, editor-in-chief of Awaz Bharti.
Awaz Bharti, yes. So a news editor is the one who's asking people to get the stories. What stories should make the headline? We've all been in the newsroom. It's a crazy space. And also, now being away from the newsroom, I've also seen how it works, because a newsroom thrives on sensationalism. वो clickbait headline कहाँ है, खुलासा किसका हो रहा है, and sometimes it's, now you're from the industry, your people have been wearing the brand. There have been witch hunts, there have been all sorts of fake news. It's not only entertainment, it's also Bollywood. So when you were there, I mean, as you said, you got a perspective. So did you observe the way news functions here, any anchor to get into, or did you just think of...
No, I think it was more like a thought process that, so for me, I think Amina Qureshi has a thought process. There's a way that she thinks, and that for me was what I kind of went back from. When I say backwards is, I caught on to that thought process, and I kind of worked backwards to where, if this is the thought process at this age, what is it that she has gone through? And I kind of went down literally to her birth. So my backstory went down to there, and kind of I formulated her from there. So I know where Amina is born, what kind of family she's born into, what kind of childhood she's had. I know what is her education, what has been the thing. And when you're editor-in-chief, you've been an intern, a rookie reporter, senior reporter, correspondent, deputy editor, and a lot of other layers keep getting added, because for Amina to have reached editor-in-chief, she's definitely broken quite a few glass ceilings on her way. So the personality to have achieved that. See, I'm a working woman, and I think as a woman, you always need to prove yourself 3 times more than a man has to.
Totally.
And so for Amina to have reached where she's reached, I can just imagine the grit, the determination, and the work ethic she must have had, and the kind of commitment she must have had to this job. So that is how I kind of, Amina started coming alive for me to reach that graph. So normally you kind of build it up like this. I kind of went back on it, and that's how I did this. Also, the other thing was that for me, what was interesting about the original, which was based on newspapers, and this, which is more adapted to India and is based on news channels, what was interesting for me was that behind every headline, every byline, it's a human being, and human beings are flawed.
Yeah, which is true.
And all human beings are flawed.
Absolutely.
It's not right or wrong or good or bad. It's just being a human being.
True.
And the moment, that was for me the crucial thing about the show, that in any profession that can happen, and this profession, see, because like education or healthcare, media is, it's not just a profession. I mean, it is profession, it is a business, but it is not just that. It's service-oriented in that sense. There's some sort of a layer to it. Media is the 4th pillar of the democracy, and so there's a certain amount of gravitas that comes with this profession. So when you look at it that way, and yet all that is there, but eventually they're human beings. And human beings make choices. Sometimes those choices are right, sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes you have to stick by the wrong choice, and you just say that you'll pull through with it. Sometimes you realize it's not the right choice, and you backtrack and you make amends. Sometimes you want to backtrack, but you can't. So it's not simple. There's a lot of gray in it, and that was so interesting. And that's the beauty of the platforms, because you can have these layered storytelling, which earlier probably was not possible.
So we have a complete care for sensitive skin. आपकी खूबसूरती का राज जरा बता दीजिए. ये good times है हमको.
Oh my God, good genes. I must thank my parents for it. That is one thing I cannot take credit for, and it's completely the genes, and thank God for those genes, because they gave me the opportunity to be in front of the camera. But other than that, I would just say that, I think it is healthy living and healthy food and all kinds of food. I've never been one for diets, so
yeah, and then she looked the way she did without diet. So I mean, like, we still
I hide it well, let's put it that way.
Back in the day, we only looked at Sonali Bendre. Agar lagna hai to inki tarah lago, which made us all go for those aerobic classes that were so famous in the 90s.
Yeah, I've never done those.
Yeah. Thanks, Sonali. We were all doing Jane Fonda looking at you. I've never done those. Can we plant you in a newsroom now? We'll be able to manage the headlines. Give me the exclusive headline.
I might be too sober for them.
See, there she says it. I so agree with you. But yeah, it's true. But, back in the day when you started, and as I said, when we met, there were perhaps 2 news channels. Itna nahi tha.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes miss those days when you see that there are about 100 and I don't know, I've lost count, number of news channels. Every day there's something written. Everyone is a journalist. Everyone is an influencer. What do you make of it?
Look, you know what? Nostalgia is good. But I'm not a very nostalgic sort of a person. I don't live in the past. And it's not like I don't have regrets or whatever, and but it's not something I dwell on beyond a point. So for me, as as a person, as my nature, I'm someone who is always excited about what is coming and what is happening. And change is frightening, but it's also exciting. And I think for me, I hold on to the exciting part of it more than the frightened part of it. So, and that is why I think my life has been the way it has been.
Absolutely.
Because had I not been, I would have never taken the chance of getting into this line of work. You know, I mean, I'm a total outsider, because these are the terms that are so used now. So I'm just saying, I mean, nobody could have been more of an outsider than me. I had never been, you know, I come from a family where there was barely a television. Eventually we got one, but it was books. And the magazines that came home were Reader's Digest, National Geographic, and stuff like that.
Wow.
So if I have watched movies, it would have been a couple of movies, because, you know, my Masi, when you come in summer holidays, is an Amitabh Bachchan fan, and so you saw maybe a couple of those movies. But we were not into, that was not my exposure. I didn't know this world. Film industry, or the world of arc lights, or whatever you would call it, was as good as being on Moon or Mars, for that matter.
Awesome,
for me.
yeah.
It was a different planet.
Absolutely.
So, and you know that. You've known me and you've seen the things. So I was such an non-connected with this. But yet to kind of do this and take this on and take the challenge and get into it and find myself, that is part of my personality, where I look towards the future. Or getting to what you were saying, I'm getting very lengthy in my answer. But like you said, yes, there were fewer channels. There were fewer magazines. It was more intimate, and but also
you didn't have scathing headlines, and you could easily
No, you did have scathing headlines. Absolutely.
Which was the worst rumor you would heard about yourself?
There were a lot of rumors, and they were always scathing headlines. And you know, the moment you were not the friend, then you did not get the review you wanted. Never.
Ravina said
it
the
has
same thing.
Always been the case. You know, it's just that everybody says that this is happening now. I disagree. I think those biases, these conditionings were always there. It's just that there were 4 and now it's 4,000. So the volume is more, and so suddenly everybody is getting aware of it. But we have always been aware of those biases.
True. Ravina said the same thing. Ek hota tha, sorry, there was an error, and there was such a little line that no one even knew it had happened, and the biases did exist. But also, Sonali, the thing is, this is such an exciting time for women.
And I don't mean biases just in the entertainment life.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere.
They were. It's your and I do feel, when as I've been part of the this series, which is Newsroom, and when you talk about news, I feel that we need to, you know, the thing is to say that as a journalist you need to be unbiased and give your.
Everyone's biased. We're humans.
Everybody is, exactly, and it's just a myth. Nobody is not biased. It's just that you might not agree with that thing, and you, for years we believed that, oh, journalists are unbiased, and so we said they are unbiased. But they were definitely showing you a bias, which just we were not identifying it as that. That's about it.
And you've always been very honest. So when she said she did movies for the Paycheck, somewhere she actually said that she actually, while doing those movies, was like, why am I doing this? The paycheck is important. That was, I loved your honesty there. I mean, did you really sometimes sign a film and say, like, what the hell am I doing? And now when you look back, what do you?
No, I have asked that question many times, and then I've looked at the paycheck and said, yeah, this is why I'm doing it, and just take it and go home.
I love that honesty, but now you don't need that. You've proved yourself. Do you feel that now?
No, paycheck is always good, because we do live in a materialistic world, and where it's not just how you value yourself, but what kind of paycheck you take home makes the way people look at you changes, and just to have some sort of a validation. Unfortunately, I can say that I don't need this kind of a validation, but that's the way the world functions. So somewhere, yes, it is important.
Awesome. But are you enjoying the time? As you said, it's like you can take a break and come back, because there's so many more opportunities for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very different. It's different and I would not say just like, as you just mentioned Ravina, and all of us from the 90s, we've just like literally got a new lease of life. Suddenly there are roles that we've never been able to play, and we're getting to do all these different things. And there's so many other voices, new talent, exciting talent, be it in writers, in directors, technicians. It's just an explosion of talent. Absolutely. And it's so exciting as a creative person to kind of see what is happening. It's very, very exciting.
Absolutely. And also in the 90s, I want to tell you all, now they talk about the six-pack and washboard stomach. she was the lady who had that.
I had it, yeah.
No,
had it.
You still have it.
No, I don't have it. Now I don't miss it. It's fine.
The humma girl, it's still stuck to you.
Yes.
Now when you look back at your songs, does your son watch any one of them?
No,
or does he
not really, but I think he should, yeah.
You should, definitely. But also, Sonali, you've been such a trooper. I've
been lucky with the songs I got. You're right about that.
Absolutely, yeah. Because Barish jab hoti hai, to Dehek ka gana play hota hai.
Oh, is the best rain song ever. Ever.
And फिर Humma play hota hai.
Yeah.
And the True Blue Pan India star, we're talking about North and South, been there, done that.
No, I wouldn't say been there, done that, but I would just say it was great doing that and looking forward to doing more.
Absolutely, but you've been such a trooper, Sonali, because your show of strength is giving a whole lot of people strength. And, you know, whether it's your book club, whether it's your posts.
Yeah.
I mean, to come out like this super warrior, as I would say, what would you want to tell people? Because, you know, now there is a cure for the disease. People are looking forward to that. But the C word does scare us all. And to see someone so strong next to me, all I can say is kudos, yeah.
No, you know, but like I keep saying that being able to inspire people is a byproduct of what I actually was doing. It was for myself. I was just trying to survive it. And, okay, if something scares you, put it out there. You know, you're scared of stepping out because, you know, you are aware of how you look. Go out there, put it out there, and the fear is over. It's liberating. Absolutely. And I think somewhere that is what I was doing. I know I've spoken a lot about cancer and what I've been through and all of that, but I would say that it did give me the clarity where I did realize that I might have been an accidental actor, but I did eventually fall in love with my job. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. So it was okay to say Paycheck, but I did fall in love with it.
But thank you so much. And it's Father's Day. Any lesson from Dad that you remember?
For me, Father's Day is special. Everybody's father is special. But I think for me, it has always been, growing up, it has always been mother, because my mother was a homemaker. And that's how the generation was. Father was never so open about what he feels. But as I've grown older and I've seen it's not just the mother. Fathers do equal amount of sacrifices. The way of showing love is different. But I get it now, and so, yeah, I think it's a special day, and it's always, you know, everybody does, and I do. I love my father. So I call him Baba.